Hey folks, it is Thursday, April 25th. The time is 5:27 p.m. and it's about 7 degrees Celsius here in downtown Toronto, and I am on University Avenue, and that is a look to the south. We'll flip that camera around. And this is College Street. And there's a 506 Carlton streetcar. And that's an entrance to Queen's Park subway station. And just to the north on Queen's Park is the Provincial Legislative Assembly building. And I actually fibbed at the intro, as I was on Queen's Park, not University Avenue. University Avenue starts just south of College Street there. And we have some geese who I'm sure would prefer to be left alone. And in this one, I'll be walking up to Wellesley Street, and then I'll walk east along Wellesley all the way over to Parliament. And then from there, I'll head up to Castle Frank Station. I'm not sure if I'll jump on a bus or just walk up there. There's people waiting at the Grosvenor Street bus stop. Well, it said Grosvenor, but the street is half a block to the north here.
It's just like the time of day. It's a lot easier to find somewhere.
And this whole area is surrounded by provincial government buildings. With, of course, the Legislative Assembly over there. And its official address, I believe, is 111 Wellesley Street West. But I think it also goes by 1 Queen's Park, as we are heading north up the east side of Queen's Park. And that would be the Canadian equivalent of a state capitol building, as Ontario is or rather Toronto is the capital of Ontario. And on the right, we have the Whitney Tower. That's part of the Whitney Block, an Ontario government building complex. That dates back to the 1930s, although the Whitney Tower itself is currently unoccupied. Quite a beautiful looking building, and it features one of the few remaining hand crank operated elevators. At one point in time, there was a bowling alley in that building. And there was also livestock kept on the premises. That was obviously a long time ago.
No. I think Michelle was freaking out about everything. I swear.
These buildings still house government offices, and apparently they are connected via a tunnel. To the Legislative Assembly. And this is Wellesley Street, which starts just to the west of here, over on the other side of Queen's Park Circle. But we'll be going east along Wellesley from here on out, at least until I get to Parliament. Wow, look at this dog. Looks kind of like a Star Wars character. And some of these buildings on the left are part of the University of Toronto, who actually owns the land that Queen's Park sits on. It's been leased out back to the province. And these buildings on the right are part of the McDonald Block complex. That houses a number of government offices as well. I think something like 15 government ministries are there. Although the complex has been undergoing an extensive renovation over the past several years. It's good to see it start to reopen. These buildings were completely tarped off for much of the renovation. And that is St. Joseph's College School on the left. That's part of the Toronto Catholic District School Board. And this one will be, I think, about 3 kilometers in total. I think these bike lanes went in just before 2009 or so. And that glass condo on the northeast corner of Bay and Wellesley there looks pretty new. But it's actually built on the bones of the old Sutton Place Hotel. The hotel was completely stripped down and given a brand new facade. And I'll look south down Bay Street. And you can catch the 94 Wellesley bus, which is undergoing a route diversion here. There's Dr. Lillian McGregor Park. That's a newer addition to the city. It opened up within the last few years. These hand-pulled noodles. There's a series of old homes here that have heritage status that date back to the 1870s. And they're being at least partially preserved and incorporated into this condo going up. It's really just the facade being saved. On the plus side, the condo appears to be using mostly brick, which is a nice change from the all-glass exteriors we see in a lot of the newer buildings. This is Yonge Street coming up. And just on the other side of Yonge Street, Wellesley Street West becomes Wellesley Street East. So the street numbers start with 1 on both sides of the intersection, and they start counting up. The further west you go on Wellesley Street West, or the more to the east you go on Wellesley East. And Wellesley Station is just up ahead. And we're now on the east side of downtown. There's some cops. Investigating something. That's the station just on the left. One officer is just looking at me like, what's that guy doing? And a lot of the buildings, the older ones that have heritage status on Wellesley, tend to date back to the 1870s. And there's one, that building housing the Fox and the Fiddle. That's the old Somerset House, right next to a Sonder Hotel. It's a small boutique hotel that's popped up in numerous locations across the city. It's interesting seeing how people have dressed for today. You'll see people in sweaters and some people in full-on winter coats. It's the Paul Kane House on the left. Is this another 1870s property? This was a stucco cottage built in 1853, enlarged in the late 50s and again in 1873. It's always neat when you can read one of those heritage plaques.
Okay, sounds good.
And this is Church Street. At the heart of the Church Wellesley village. There's a lot of bars and restaurants in this neighborhood. It's quite lively on weekends. King burger, 6 ounces. There's another condo opting for bricks. I say that as if the condo itself was sentient and had some say in the matter. There's a 94B Wellesley bus that'll be heading to Wellesley Station. It's kind of New York City-esque, that one. And the 1870s strike again. That row of homes there dates back to 1874. There's the Wellesley Apartments. And we are at Jarvis. There's the Keg Mansion. The Keg's a chain restaurant, and that one's built, or rather it exists in an old mansion. As we look north up Jarvis, and I think that building too goes back to the 1870s. I've heard there's plans to redevelop that plot. Hopefully the keg gets to stay. It's kind of an institution in this part of town. There's the old Jarvis Collegiate Institute. And the street bends to the right a bit here. Which is a bit unusual, as most of the downtown streets have a pretty rigid street grid. Most streets are straight as rulers. And the next major street coming up that intersects Wellesley will be Sherbourne. And I'll be walking through the St. Jamestown neighborhood, as well as Cabbagetown. Those balconies all have a mesh in front of them. Keep your cats in and the birds out. I say that as pigeons invade a balcony at that new building right there. It's probably against the condo bylaws to put a mesh like that over your balcony. And here's Sherbourne Street. Those guys coming to blows over there? Now they're hugging it out. Okay. Sherbourne Station is just to the north of here. All right, now that guy's yelling at a random passerby. It might be best just to keep the camera pointed forward. He's walking alongside someone who moved into the bike lane to get out of his way. That guy in the hat right there. He just started harassing. So on the right is Cabbagetown. And on the left we have St. Jamestown. This used to be Cabbagetown. It consisted of a lot of older Victorian homes that was torn down to make way for what is Canada's densest neighborhood. That's a neat mural. It's an interesting outdoor market that springs up here. It's more like a glorified garage sale. And there's another row of homes on the right here that, you guessed it, goes back to 1878. I think this row of homes here is up for redevelopment. They date back to 1876. I imagine they'll be incorporated into something new. And this is Parliament Street, and the heart of the Cabbagetown neighborhood is just to the right. There's a vibrant retail strip. And Wellesley Street continues for several more blocks to the east of here and ends at a small park. I will be doing a Cabbagetown walk at some point in the not too distant future that covers that stretch. I'm just going to try to make this light here. All right, I guess I'm walking up to Castle Frank Station. And on the right is the oldest cemetery in the city, dating back to 1844. This is St. James. It's also a crematorium. And it sits, oh, better get out of the way of this car, just north of another old cemetery, the Toronto Necropolis. There's St. Jamestown. I'm heading to Castlefrank Station, which is to the east on my right, but I have to cross to the left side of the street here in order to go north of Bloor. I think that guy might have recognized me. He smiled and said hello. All right, let's test out this crosswalk here. Oh, this car kind of slowing down at the last second there. And I just ordered some dinner. This is Bloor Street coming up. First, Howard Street. There's a look directly into the sun. And this is what I meant. There is no crossing on that side of the street. You have to be careful when you're on your bike here. As a driver turning right might swing right into you. They really need to put a yield sign up or slow down for cyclists before that. Maybe that's what this says. Not really.
That's it, Brian.
And this is east on Bloor Street East. There's the Rosedale Valley down below. And line 2 of the subway runs through that elevated tunnel there. That's even the right terminology, elevated tunnel. Let's look towards Yorkville. We're almost at Castle Frank. It's the swanky Rosedale neighborhood. Just off in the distance. It's funny, I checked the suggested walking time from Queen's Park Station to Castle Frank Station before I started recording this, and Google said 40 minutes. And here we are at 37:30. If I wasn't recording, I would have been here a heck of a lot sooner than that. There's a number of people waiting for the bus. And the station is being renovated to improve its accessibility. Elevators are being installed to head down to the platforms. I think that's what this is here. You can see how they tried to match the newer brick with the older brick.
Report any suspicious activity to a member of staff or a police officer. If you see something, say something.
And that's about that. So I hope you enjoyed this one, starting just in front of Queen's Park Station at College and Queen's Park. Making my way up to Wellesley, then walking.
No service between Kipling and Jane due to a fire. Shuttle buses are operating.
Before I was so rudely interrupted due to that announcement of a fire between Kipling and Jane. As I made my way over to Castle Frank Station. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below if you wish to support what I do. There's links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership down in the description. I have an Instagram account which I have not updated in many moons at Johnny Strides, and there is a super thanks button appearing below if you wish to say thanks that way. Anywho, I'm gonna put my gear away. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Yoink.